Hey, what's up, everybody? So coming to you today with the number 4's report. This is all the number 4 fighters from 122 to heavyweight I'm going to discuss. That's 12 different fighters. Good fighters, too. Good fighters you want to know. And remember, even if you don't know them, these are some of the best fighters in boxing. So you're going to want to pay attention to when they fight, because it's usually going to be a pretty well-known fight. And again, these are the best of the best guys. They're the top 5 fighters in each division, you know, so the number 4's some good names on this list. So I'm going to get into it in a minute. First up, though, guys, if you guys can show me some love, thumbs up, thumbs down even, subscribe to my channel, or leave a comment. I'd appreciate all of it, any kind of love and support to get the channel rolling some more. Almost at 100 subscribers, and I appreciate every one of you guys. So please show me some love if you can, and give me that thumbs up or subscribe. Okay, so let's jump into it. We start with the number 4 fighter in the 122-pound super bantamweight division, and that is the former IBF champion and the current IBF interim champion, Ryosuke Iwasa. Iwasa captured the interim title in December of 2019 and has been lined up to fight for the has been lined up as a mandatory challenger ever since Murajan Akhmadiev defeated Daniel Roman in January of last year, 2020. Well, now it's time to cash in on that. Iwasa is supposed to be fighting Akhmadiev on March 13th, and it's supposed to take place in Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan, wherever Akhmadiev is from. It hasn't been 100% finalized yet, and I haven't heard if we're going to see it in America yet. I hope DAZN picks this fight up and we can see it, or ESPN Plus, but I don't know yet. But it looks like that fight's going to happen, and I hope it does. I hope that fight gets finalized sometime this month, so we can for sure have it good to go. But we will definitely know by the March report what's going down with this fight. Again, March 13th. Okay, so number 4 at 126 pounds, that's featherweight, is the WBO featherweight champion, Emmanuel Navarrete. Navarrete captured the title in October, captured the vacant title, defeating Ruben Villa by a unanimous decision in a tough battle. Now he is pushing forward. We don't know what he's doing next exactly. I've heard that he could make a mandatory defense of his belt, or he could face somebody else, but personally, I feel a mandatory should not be due, considering he won the vacant belt, because he was a mandatory and he fought the next guy up. He would fight a mandatory if he has no other option outside of fighting a top 15 guy to just stay busy. I think he needs to push for a showdown with maybe, there's a couple guys that I would like to see him fight, but preferably, I want to see him fight Jesse Magdaleno. I think that's the best matchup for him next. But you also have Joet Gonzalez, and I don't think a third fight with Isaac Dogbe makes sense yet, but maybe Michael Conlon, if Conlon's willing to come up to 126. So I'm very interested in seeing what happens, but I hope he gets a decent-sized name, because he hasn't really fought a big name since he beat Dogbe back-to-back fights. And, you know, he stayed very active, but it's been against a low-level competition outside of Ruben Villa in his last fight, but Villa wasn't a big-time name. So I want to see Navarrete get a shot. Hopefully we hear at least what he's doing next by the March report. Next up, number 4 fighter at 130 pounds at super featherweight. He is a former 4-division world champion, Leo Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz hasn't fought since the brutal knockout loss to Gervonta Davis, where he lost his 130-pound title back on Halloween night in October of 2020. You know, that was a brutal knockout loss right there. He didn't see the punch coming, laid him out cold. You know, he has called for a rematch since, but nobody's really taken that serious, because that would make no sense for Davis to fight him next in a rematch. But, you know, Santa Cruz, I don't know if we're going to hear anything by the March report, but I hope he comes back at some point. I think he will, but it's probably going to be just a stay busy opponent, and it's probably not going to be till the second half of the year, in my opinion, but we'll see. Next up, number 4 fighter at 135 pounds, lightweight, and that is the undefeated WBC interim champion, Ryan Garcia. Well, Ryan Garcia, there's been a lot of talk about him and Manny Pacquiao. I don't think that fight's realistic. I know his trainer, Eddie Reynoso, doesn't want him to take that fight. I think most people want him to fight Tank Davis next. But Tank Davis reportedly just got hurt in training. I don't know how real that fight would be anyways with Golden Boy working with Mayweather Promotions. So for now, I think Garcia needs to look at Jorge Linares, in my opinion. You know, he got a nice win over Campbell. Jorge Linares is with Golden Boy. It's a makeable fight while you wait around to see what's going on with the Tank Davis fight, maybe second half of the year, or somebody else with a huge name. So I think Ryan Garcia needs to continue to build his resume. If he's not going to fight Devin Haney in a mandatory WBC title fight, then why not fight Jorge Linares, a former 3-division world champion? Linares has already come out and said that Ryan Garcia isn't ready for him. He's already talking shit. It's a fight that was supposed to get made last year. Now he's got that cred beating a top-level opponent like Luke Campbell. So why not Garcia and Linares next? That's what I think he should do. I hope we get some kind of more updated thing on him come the March report on the number 4s. I really, really hope we hear something on him. Next up, number 4 at 140 pounds. That's junior welterweight, and that is former 2-time world title challenger and current number 1 contender, Jose Zepeda. Zepeda, we don't know for sure what he's doing next. He hasn't fought since that war and fight of the year and brutal knockout win over Ivan Berianchik back in October of last year. Personally, I think Zepeda's probably going to come back in the first half of the year and stay busy, but he might not. He might wait around to see what happens in the undisputed title fight between Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor to see if they give up the WBC belt. If the winner of that fight gives up the WBC belt instead of making a mandatory against him, he might be able to just move straight in line for a title fight next. And that might be able to get made right away. Either that or fight for the interim title at 140. And if the winner of the Taylor Ramirez fight decides to give up the belt, then he just becomes world champion. He gets upgraded. So I think he's going to wait around to see, but I hope we know for sure by the March report, because I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and just stays busy while he waits around for the winner of that fight. Next up is my number 4 fighter in 147-pound welterweight division. He is the former 2-time welterweight champion of the world, current number 1 contender in 2 different two different governing bodies, and that is Shawn Porter of the United States. Porter, the grinder, the all-out brawler, is waiting in line right now. We don't know for sure what he's going to do. We know that he's number 1 contender to both Errol Spence Jr. and to Terrence Crawford. I hope he gets one of those guys. I know I was favoring him to fight Errol Spence in a rematch next. But Yordenis Ugas has seemingly moved to the front of the line by him being upgraded to super champion for the WBA. He seemingly has moved to the front of the line to unify belts against Errol Spence instead. Now, if that's the case, and the WBC doesn't mandate Shawn Porter to fight Spence, then Spence might just move on to fight Ugas, and that leaves Porter as the number 1 contender in the WBO as well. So I really think that to force a big fight to happen between Crawford and Porter, because Porter has said he's not leaving that fight, he's not leaving that fight. He still wants that fight with Crawford, but Bob Arum lowballed the fuck out of Porter. He offered him only $1 million to fight Crawford, and that's ridiculous. Porter deserves more than that. I think, depending on what Crawford makes, I think Porter at least deserves $3 million to fight Terrence Crawford. It's a big enough fight. He's a big enough name, and that's ridiculous to offer him a third of that. But Bob Arum, I don't know what he's going to do, but I hope the WBO helps out here and mandates this fight to happen. And then we're really going to see if these two guys want to go at it or not. And if for some reason Crawford can't fight him, then Porter's going after an interim title, is what it looks like, or the vacant title. So we'll see. But I'm hoping we hear something by the March report on what's going to happen with Shawn Porter. Next, the number 4 fighter in the 154-pound division, and that is the undefeated former WBA regular champion, Brian Castano. Well, Castano's big moment is here. He has a chance to score the biggest victory of his career just next weekend on February 13th when he challenges for the WBO title against the hard-hitting Patrick Teixeira. This is a big-time fight. It's a mandatory fight for the WBO title, and Castano can put himself... I think the winner of this fight becomes the number 2 fighter to Jermell Charlo, and I think if Castano wins, we have almost a direct line for an undisputed championship fight later this year if Charlo resolves his mandatory obligation against Erickson Lubin. So, big time fight on February 13th. I got Castano winning the fight by a late stoppage, possibly a decision, but I think it's going to be good, and I definitely think Teixeira's a live underdog in this one. It could go either way. Big time fight, February 13th on DAZN between Brian Castano and Patrick Teixeira. Next is my number 4 fighter in the 160-pound middleweight division. He is the former 3-time world title challenger, Sergey Derevyanchenko. Derevyanchenko, we haven't heard anything since the loss to Jermell Charlo for the WBC title last September. You know, that was a tough one. He got outclassed, outgunned, in some cases beat up by Charlo. And, you know, he suffered consecutive losses 3 years in a row. A couple of them close to Danny Jacobs and to Triple G in title fights. And, you know, I'm not sure anybody's rushing to the front of the line to fight Derevyanchenko because he's kind of high risk, low reward now in some cases. But I do think there's a possibility that that Derevyanchenko could move down to 154. That was rumored, you know, as a possibility. He is a PBC guy, so we're gonna see what goes on with that. But I like Castano. I like Derevyanchenko, and I hope we hear something by the March report on him. Next up is the number 4 fighter in 168-pound super middleweight division. That is the undefeated David Benavidez, the former 2-time champion. Well, Benavidez returns Saturday, March 13th. I believe it's in a Showtime main event when he takes on little-known veteran Ronald Ellis Jr. I think Benavidez is going to dominate Ellis. This is kind of a comebacker. Stay busy while he looks forward to hopefully something bigger in the second half of the year. But that's what Benavidez is doing next. We really don't know. It's kind of up in the air on what he could do in the second half of the year. I know he's trying to get in line for the world title, but we got to see if the WBC is going to put him into some kind of an eliminator or not. So we'll see. Next at, let me see, at 175, number 4 at 175 light heavyweight is the Crusher, former 3-time light heavyweight champion, Sergey Kovalev. So Kovalev is, we don't know what's going on. He was supposed to fight January 30th. He tested for a banned substance, and that fight got scratched. So now we really don't know what Kovalev is doing next. It's really up in the air. You know, I hope we hear something on his return soon, but we really don't know. He hasn't fought since November of 2019 when he lost the WBO title, when he got knocked out against Canelo. So hopefully we hear something soon on what Kovalev could possibly be doing and when he could possibly be coming back. But as of right now, we don't know anything. So March report, hopefully we got better news on Kovalev. The next number 4 we look at is the cruiserweight number 4, and that is contender Noel Gavor. Gavor, you know, the man nobody wants to see at cruiserweight. Haven't heard anything on what he's going to do and when he's going to do it. This guy has been, ever since he got robbed in the World Boxing Super Series quarterfinals in 2018, he has been he has been inactive big time. He only fought twice in that time span against low-level competition. Part of it's because not a lot of people want to get in a ring with him, but I'm hoping somebody steps up. Maybe he can get some kind of an eliminator. We'll see. Maybe we'll hear something by the March report on what he's going to do next. And the final number 4 we look at is the very well-known former unified heavyweight champion of the world, my number 4 heavyweight in the world, Andy Ruiz Jr. Ruiz is currently in training with Canelo and Ryan Garcia right now, training side by side, all with Eddie Reynoso. He's lost 20 pounds prior to Christmas from what I heard, and he's trying to come back strong. I think he's going to probably come back against somebody like a Chris Arreola, some kind of a tune-up fight, and then move forward towards a bigger fight in the second half of the year. Personally, I want to see him and Deontay Wilder. But at the very least, maybe him and Luis Ortiz, I think, would be great. I just want to see Ruiz fight somebody in the top 10, somebody good in the second half of the year while he tries to get in line for possibly the winner of the undisputed title clash between Fury and Joshua. So we'll see what goes down. I hope we hear something by the March report on Andy Ruiz. Like him, I want to see him successful. So that's it, guys. That's the number 4s in all of boxing. I hope you guys enjoyed this. True Boxing. Show me some love. Thumbs up. You've been hit with the truth.